Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody from, let's just quickly take attendance, please. When I call your name, please just acknowledge that you're here. Amelia,
Here.
Marlene,
Yes.
Carrie,
Here.
Keith,
Here.
Cynthia,
Here.
Finn,
Here.
Jen.
Here.
And I am here. Okay, thank you guys. Before we get started with our discussion, does anybody from the public want to make any comments?
David Sherman's hand's raised, so I will bring him over.
Oh, right.
David, did you want to make any comments? You're on mute.
Yeah, so my hand was basically up because I just wanted to make sure that you could see that I was here. I didn't see myself in the window pane. But everybody can hear and see me. I can hear and see you.
Mm-hmm.
At least at the moment, I can see only Tina. I can't see anybody else that was there a minute ago.
I believe everybody can hear you. Yeah.
It might be your view. You can change your view to gallery view and you can see everybody.
Let's see if I can do that. Yeah, Carrie, because you just became visible when you spoke. There we go. Yep, gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Oops. Okay, so David, if you don't have anything specific you wanted to mention or say before we get started, we should start the discussion about the statement that was submitted to us.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole heck of a lot to add, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions and address any concerns.
Okay, thanks.
David, I'm going to move you back, David, to an attendee role, so you won't see your face on the box anymore, but so that the committee can have their discussion.
Okay.
Thanks.
And if somebody has something for me, I'll just raise my hand and answer. Is that the idea? Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
So I'm opening this up to discussion we'll just kind of recap. David submitted a statement to HRC and was looking for public support of the statement. Can I get some thoughts, opinions on this, please?
I wasn't quite sure what kind of support. Is David suggesting that this be a statement made by the Human Rights Committee, or are we supporting a statement that is he looking for support from the committee for the statement that he created? It's not quite clear.
It was for the HRC to make a statement as a committee.
And I understood it that the statement draft that he sent us was what he was hoping.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's how I read it as well.
That's how I read it.
I'm here.
He was thinking back to other statements we've made in the past. And he said, I hope you'll make this one.
And then we also got another person asking us for a statement. I think it was, I didn't compare, but is it the exact same statement? It was the same sentiment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but tonight's meeting, I think, is just around his statement, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only one has been given to us that's our agenda.
Well, but if we want to make a statement and we want to alter it, we can also think about that. I thought this meeting was to see if we wanted to make a statement and then what that would be. Or is this just to see if we would support his statement?
Correct.
Okay.
I think in the discussion, we can decide if we want to make a statement and what that's going to look like. But the genesis of the conversation was the statement that David submitted to us. So I think there are definitely a few ways this conversation can go, but I just want to know, what do you guys think?
I think it's very important that a statement be made by the Human Rights Committee in terms of the model that we have, or the draft that David prepared. One point that I would like to make is that any statement the Human Rights Committee makes focuses on the town of Needham and the residents in the town of Needham, including all residents in the town of Needham, and how we can protect their human rights. So the statement has a lot of important information, but this is my perspective, okay? It's almost like a news report, it goes into great detail about all the situation which we want to respond to. And I don't think that all that information would be included in a statement that the Human Rights Committee would make. Also, any statement we make has to be focused on, has to be brought, even if there's a general, I'm thinking about the statement we made for the war in Ukraine. And we started with acknowledging a situation which concerned us, but we then immediately focused on what that meant in terms of the residents in the town of Needham and how that would affect them. So I think in looking at a draft of a statement, I think that has to be the focus, a general introduction, and then a focus on how this might affect, or perhaps we have evidence how it is affecting groups in town, including the groups, the innocent victims of that horrible situation in the Middle East, and how that's affecting people who live in the town of Needham.
I think that's a great point, Amelia. I think we should probably consider coming up with a statement that encompasses a lot of what is already written in this, but also focuses on supporting our residents here in town.
I would agree with that. I think that's really important. Which would mean editing the statement.
Right.
I'd like to say that there are many different points of view in our community. And there are many people who would agree with at least some of the things in the statement David made, but I also know people who feel very strongly about what's happening in Gaza and see that as a place where people's human rights are being violated. I also know many people who are focused on de-escalating and looking for a ceasefire. I also know people who are opposed to violence and war of any sort. So I think it is quite hard for us to make a statement about points of view of what's going on in the Middle East conflict as a Human Rights Committee. I think to focus on what's happening to people in our town is more within what we can do.
Yeah, for me as the newest member of the committee, I like we said, I think there's a lot of hard-hitting information in David's statement, and learning what the Human Rights Committee's role is in town. Certainly making all residents feel safe is, I think, something that we could all, try to stress in any way that we can.
Can we, as a committee of the town, even endorse this statement?
Well, I think no matter what, we would have to make it our own. We
Yeah.
couldn't just publish it as is.
But I think we can, but we've made other statements, so I think that we can. Um,
I was just looking back, because I couldn't remember what we had said actually in the statement. Related to the Ukrainian war. And to trying to see if there were pieces of that, because we do talk, we do quote the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which I think David also did in his.
That was mentioned, right? That's correct.
Yeah, he did.
So that would be consistent if we were to put something out. I wonder, I guess the question is, what can we say, or how do we ground it sufficiently in the human rights space so that it doesn't, I don't know, appear to be a political statement, which would probably not be something that the select board would be excited to see coming from us.
I wouldn't be excited to see that coming from us. So, yeah, Katie, do you have any thoughts or feedback on maybe ways that we can approach this, particularly because we are advisory to the board? So I think the direction we're moving in is taking pieces from David's statement, focusing it on our neighbors here in Needham, across the board, anybody that's being affected, which is really all of us. And making sure that we're really speaking about human rights versus developing and expressing an opinion one way or the other. I mean, there are several opinions about all of this. So, Katie, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, just to say, over the conversations between this committee and the board in the last few years, it came up process-wise a few times, can this group make a statement? And where we landed was, yes, this committee can, as long as it actually convenes and does open meeting law and all of that, and votes to make a statement for the group. So I think what you're suggesting now in terms of the content makes a lot of sense and feels like it's solidly within this committee's charge.
Okay, I mean, I feel like this is very different from any other statements we've made because it is such a complex issue. More so than some of the other things that we've tackled. There's no one way or the other. I mean, it's several different. I'm sorry, Marlene, go ahead.
I think one piece that is in his statement that we might want to edit, but we expect and demand that our town be a safe place for people to gather and to converse peacefully, regardless of identity, including in protest for, against one side or the other, and to live peacefully and safely. I think that's it, to live, because I can tell you as a member of the Jewish community, I don't feel safe. It's a very, very scary time for us right now. And I know for Muslims too, it's a very, very difficult time. But so it's not just to gather and to be able to, but to feel like you can live. I mean, people are afraid now, like during the Holocaust, of showing their Jewish identity. It's very, very frightening.
And could I just read the first two sentences of the war in Ukraine statement that we made, and how we started with the general statement and then immediately focused on the community?
Yes.
The Needham Human Rights Committee strongly condemns the war in Ukraine and hopes for a swift end to the senseless violence that is being perpetrated against Ukrainian citizens. Unfortunately, one of the consequences of this upheaval is that anti-Russian bias is appearing in our community and region. And then we go on to focus on what is happening in the community. So I think maybe having a general statement acknowledging what the situation is and how that might affect, or we know it is affecting people in the community in terms of safety, in terms of feeling obligated to be silent. We had a Needham Diversity Initiative, and we had some very interesting breakout sessions, and that topic was touched upon briefly in several of the sessions
At the summit.
at the summit.
Yeah.
I think if we talk about being concerned about the very real anti-Semitism that's been inflamed through this, we also need to talk about the anti-Muslim sentiment.
Yes.
And that makes it a totally different kind of statement than what David has brought.
No, but I think that's a key point. I think we want to make our neighbors in Needham all feel safe.
Mhm.
You know, I'm not Muslim or Jewish, but I want my Muslim and Jewish neighbors to know that they are safe in our town. So that would be an important statement to make. Not taking any kind of side, but you know, I think that letting everyone know they are safe that's so much part of our mission.
Or that we are here to make sure that they're safe, or to try to foster safety for all in our community.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure all of us have been approached by our neighbors with the terrible feelings that they're having. And for me, something that I really didn't connect until a neighbor brought it up to me was, the relatives that people have in our community, with people living through this awful war, and it really kind of brought home to me, like, it is all connected, right? It all comes back to Needham too. So maybe referencing, that we're trying to feel what they're going through. Just, like Carrie said, I mean, I'm not a member of either community, but my neighbors are, and I feel like I'm going through it with them, and I think that's important.
Mhm.
Are we all in agreement on that? That needs to be included.
Yes.
That sentiment needs to be included.
And that people who are protesting or not protesting or having different points of view are not just welcome, but we will support them, I think, as Marlene was saying.
Yeah, and if they're safe to do that, I mean, there have been a lot of protests in the country, and people aren't safe when they're protesting.
Right.
People are getting
And
killed.
also, some of the protests you have to question. When there were protest or celebrations of people in Israel who were terrorized, and that was the the protests within the country also. I don't know if we've had any in Needham. I don't know about Needham specifically, but on college campuses, for example.
What's going on at college campuses is, I wonder if anything's going on. I mean, we do have one school it's in Needham. I don't know if there are any problems there or anything going on at the high school. Is anything going on, Finn?
I think the school has remained very apolitical throughout it. And I think to some students who are very proud of their Jewish identity or Palestinian or Muslim identity are frustrated with the school. There's definitely been some reporting of other students, amongst students, about social media posting, and I know someone in my homeroom reported a girl who was posting some pro-Palestinian, but very anti-Semitic things. And I think there's been a lot of that just throughout like all grades and all. So it's pretty sad because I think students are disappointed in the staff and they're disappointed in each other and everyone's kind of turning on each other. And I think that's like the biggest thing. But besides that, we're kind of teachers like don't really talk about it. I think they've been advised not to take a stance just in case that something could break out in the classroom that is harmful to students or staff, anything like that. So it's been a little eerie the past month, a little bit sad at the school. So yeah.
And we talk about having a right to free speech, but I don't think we should be supporting a group that would be celebrating what's going on either side.
That gets tricky.
It's a very slippery slope.
I guess that's what the colleges are dealing with right now.
Well, Brandeis,
University.
I don't know if anyone saw the letter from the president of Brandeis and the Globe. That was very interesting, the way that they're handling it.
But I don't think there's ever any place to celebrate war.
I was going to say, when it comes to war, no one is ever excited about the casualties of the innocents, and that's unfortunately war. So,
Right.
So I know of some
so
groups that,
tricky.
some groups that had thought about doing something publicly and pulled back from that because of thinking that one side or the other would end up doing a demonstration or protest and that it might become violent and they couldn't protect the safety of the people who were going to be part of this public event. So for now, it's not happening. That's in our community.
Okay, so can we get a couple of volunteers to write a draft to revise, given the conversation we've just had?
So do we want it to be something that we present at the meeting? With our meeting's next week, right?
Yeah.
I'll step forward.
I have no two.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I can work on it too.
I'm not volunteering to work on it, but I'm still confused about what parts of what he wrote would be in there. I hear the things that we're seeing differently or adding on, but there's so much about the terrible things that happened in Israel, and there's just one sentence that said, "As there's peace in Israel, it will be good for the civilians of Gaza." There's very well. I think that if you're going to go into describing violence and terrible things that have happened, which I'm not sure we should be, or just to say that it's been happening throughout that area, that I'm not comfortable having a huge thing about Israel without having some of the other things that are going on. I'm not sure we should be doing that.
I don't think that's what we decided to do.
Okay, just want to be clear.
And to answer someone's question, what part of David's statement, I thought the last paragraph was very appropriate.
Where he quotes the preamble to the
Yeah.
Declaration of Human Rights. Yeah.
So is everybody okay with that? Before we send Amelia, Marlene, and Keith off to rewrite?
So we will prepare something and then present it can we send it to each
Yes.
other without discussion and then discuss it at the meeting?
Yeah, I think we should,
Okay.
everybody should have time to go to, yeah, so then we can just make a decision
Yeah.
on the 16th.
Do we want to give David an opportunity to say something at this point or not?
No. I think we need to work on our
Okay.
statement.
Okay.
in my opinion.
Anything
So
else?
do we need to take a vote to move forward with the statement? that we're all in favor of a statement and that a subcommittee is going to draft one? Should we?
So moved.
Oh, wait a minute. The chair has to be the one to decide that.
Do we need a vote, Katie?
No, I think you should vote on the final statement, but no, I think there's clear.
Not the working, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll vote on the final, but we don't have to vote on the fact that we are creating a draft.
Do it. Okay.
And by we, I mean you guys.
Thank you.
So if I could get also, did you guys get my email? If I could get agenda items by Friday, that would be awesome.
I would like to thank David for taking the initiative to come to us and get us on the road to preparing a statement.
Agreed.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, David.
Tina, could I give a quick update on something? Just
Yes.
while I have
sure.
everyone. The select board packet's gonna come out tomorrow, but one of the select board goals was to take a look at Indigenous Peoples' Day, and I know we've talked about it on this committee quite a bit. So I will forward you those materials when they come out, but there'll be a memo to the board just talking about some recommendations and what surrounding communities have done, whether it's to keep the name Indigenous Peoples' Day, keep Columbus Day, do some alternative option. So the recommendation of the board is to hold a public hearing at their November 28th meeting. So I just wanted to tell you all since we were together, and I'll send the materials when they get posted tomorrow.
Okay, that's something that we should try to attend.
Can I bring up another thing because it's of the time of
Yeah.
it? I just saw from the Clergy Association that they're thinking about doing another trans Day of Remembrance, and that's coming up really soon, like November 20th. So I think we've said in the past the things that we've sponsored in the past that we could continue to do.
Continue, yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to, since people were here, then I can convey that to Reverend Katie Scudera.
Do you need anything from us aside from?
Well, they haven't, it's sort of, she just sent it out like
Okay,
today. So it hasn't been formed yet, but to the extent it happens that they'll let people know, and hopefully they'll know before the 15th, but that it might be on the agenda. I'll send it to you so you don't have to remember it.
great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, I gotta go.
Bye, thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
See
thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
Anything else, you guys?
Tina, can I just ask, so like, should the three of us, can we just email? I want to make sure I follow the rules and guidelines. Can we just email with each other? Is that how it would work?
Yes, we could decide, how we're going to go about it.
That's great.
And
And
so emails.
essentially, we decided the policy in our open meeting. They're doing the implementation. Do I get it right, Katie? So that the three of them,
Close enough. Yep.
the three of them can talk together to implement what we decided in an open meeting.
And
And then they'll bring
and
it back to an open meeting to make the final decision.
That's great. Thank you. Very helpful.
and Keith, you're a wonderful addition to our group.
Oh, thanks so much, Bud. Thank you. I felt very welcomed at the last meeting, and like I said, I hope I can contribute positively to the group.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, so do we think that whatever statement gets drafted, that would address the additional email that we got to the webs or to the HRC email about trying to do a statement? The one that Katie forwarded to us?
Yeah, but there was also an ask for the Blue Ribbon Initiative. So I think that's a separate
Mhm.
conversation for next week.
Okay.
Okay,
So it tackles some, but not all.
so then we can respond to that specific part in our meeting.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could also publicize things on Facebook.
I do, yes, and I think
The
we need to
board.
talk about that though, because I have heard some people are nervous about doing that.
Mm.
Like was walking with one of my Jewish friends yesterday at the dog park, and she is afraid to put the ribbon out. So
Mm.
I think it's, again, it speaks to identity. She doesn't want to be targeted. So I think we need to, before we just go ahead and say yes or no, probably need to have a little bit of a thoughtful discussion around it, just to, I'm not saying no, but I also think that we should, like, what are the potential consequences? We're putting out the statement about making everybody feel safe. Is that going to signal anything to anybody? So
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we sort of think about it before we
Good point.
decide.
Yeah, there are a lot of other campaigns going on that are
Yeah.
very dear and important to people. So if we start putting campaigns on our website, we can't just put one.
So we'll talk about it though. I mean, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any other anything else? It's so nice to see you guys tonight.
Mhm.
And thank you guys for the summit. It was great. I thought it was great.
Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed myself, and
Seemed like it
really-
was everybody, I came in late, but everybody, it seemed like it was a really integrated kind of experience and of good quality.
the panel was fantastic.
Right.
Nicole was fantastic.
It looked like the leaders of the breakout groups were fantastic.
So yeah, well, I'll add that to the agenda so we can get a full recap. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
I make a motion.
So moved. Second.
Amelia,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Keith,
Yes.
Cynthia,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Bud.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.